So I'm back with another Fire Emblem Fates guide video. This time I'm going to be doing a guide over the S supports in Conquest. Now there's actually a lot of depth that goes to deciding who S supports with who, and especially there's one problem with Conquest if you pick a male avatar. So this is just a huge guide to explain everything. So we're going to start off with who you cannot S support with. Of course you can't S support with Kana or any other children that you have. If you're female, you could potentially be the mother of Shigure or a ton of other... No, wait, that's not how it works. If you're female, you can be the mother of a ton, basically every other kid. And if you're male, of course you can't S support with Shigure. And of course this goes without saying, you can't S support with anyone of the same gender, with only one exception, which I'll get to later. So you cannot marry or even support with captured units if they're bosses or generics, no matter who they are, no exceptions. Amiibo characters you can't support with, no exceptions. Birthright and Revelations exclusive characters you can't even recruit, so of course you can't support them. And I feel like it's important to note that you cannot S support with Rajat, because she is exclusive to Birthright and Revelations. And she's notable because she's the only lesbian option in the game. The only way for one female to marry another one is for your female avatar to marry Rajat. And one detail about S supporting is that the royal siblings cannot marry each other. Xander cannot marry Camilla or Elise, Leo can't marry them either, but Azora can actually marry Xander or Leo if you want her to. Of course, you can't recruit NPCs, so you can't marry them. A notable NPC is, of course, Makoto, your mother, who dies. And another notable character that you can't S support in Conquest is Fuga, because he is exclusive to the Revelations route. Unlike Scarlet and Rajat, who I have pictured, which also appear in Birthright. So here's who you can S support with. All Conquest and neutral units you can support with. You can actually support with your adopted siblings, nephews, and or nieces. So Camilla, Nina, and Shigure could possibly be nieces or nephews, whatever. Of course, it is possible for you not to have any nieces, so that's why there's and or nieces. Units that have limited supports you can marry. So like Anna only has a support with the avatar, of course you can marry her. Children other than Kana are fair game for marriage, unless of course they're yours. Niles is the bisexual character in Conquest. So no matter what your gender is, you can S-rank him. Of course, Rajat being the lesbian option for Birthright. Anna, so far the only DLC character you can S support with her, like I mentioned earlier. The Awakening units, Odin, Selena, and Laszlo you can support with. And Azana is notable because he's only in Conquest and Birthright. You can't support with him in Revelations. Now, here we have every single unit that you get in Conquest minus Anna because she's not available in the vanilla game. Now, if we put these little circles on them, the red circles indicate that they can only produce a child with the avatar. The white circle is, of course, the avatar. Now, the pink circles are female units that can support with generally every other unit that is blue or white, and the same goes with the blue. They represent the males. Now, like I mentioned earlier, of course the royal siblings can't support with each other. Now if we count up all these little dots, we end up with 11 blues and 11 pinks. This means that if you pick male, which is who the children are based off of, and you marry a pink circled unit, like say you marry Selena, then one of the male units will not be able to S support with anyone. And this is bad because S supporting 2 units will give a paralog. S supporting 2 parent generation units will give a paralog. And if you don't get that paralog, you miss out on the experience, you miss out on the child altogether, you miss out on weapons, potentially money, experience, of course, and capturable bosses, which if you really want to go for 100%, it's really bad to... Sorry, my phone just went off. It's really bad to pick a male unit and then marry one of the pink units I have here. Now, the red circles are who you want to go for. You want to marry one of these green units, and of course Anna's not pictured, because if you marry them, then the other 22 units can S support with each other, and you can get every single child without a hitch. Now, as far as mothers for males, of course Flora and Anna will make good fits because they can't S rank with anyone else. And the children can S support with each other, but they don't produce children. So I can technically marry Ophelia to, say, Siegbert, but they won't have a child. They'll just have, I guess, an honorary S support, if that's what you want to call it. But the Avatar can produce with any of these females and get a Kana. Now, like I mentioned earlier, these are the only units that a male Avatar can marry in Conquest that will not lock you out of getting another child. So not pictured are the other female children units. But basically, Anna and Flora are your only options that aren't children. Now moving on to if you're a female, you can marry basically anyone, it doesn't matter. It's probably better to marry a regular unit like Jacob or Odin or Arthur, because then you as the Avatar will be able to have 2 children, which is very good because the Avatar can be very good in this game, and having 2 children, you can pass on Dragon Fang to them, other exclusive skills, and even your class set. But again, it doesn't matter who you marry. You can marry a child generation, you can marry limited support, you can marry a regular, it doesn't matter. Now on to the optimal marriages between the non-Avatar characters. I'll explain the best routes to take, basically. So here I have listed all of the child units as well as their parents that in most cases it's father, but in the case of Kana male and Shigure, it's a female in the female Avatar and Azora respectively. Now as far as these terms that I have to the right here are describing the best mother for them, and I'll go over each of them. Siegbert is a cavalier, and he can of course turn into a paladin or great knight. Whichever one you want to turn him into is dependent on personal play style. You might want him to be a great knight if his mother is Effie, because he'll have rocking defense and weapon triangle be on lockdown. But if you want a paladin, that's fine too, it doesn't really matter. Forrest, since he's a troubadour, can turn into a butler or a strategist, and strategists are pretty good, considering troubadours can just get level ups of magic with no penalty before promoting. And the way offspring seals work in this game is very nice, because they'll bring your units, because they'll level up these children to about the point, they'll promote the units and bring them to a level that's around the same as your other units. So say all your units are around like level 7 and you use an offspring seal, you'll get the units, the child units at level 20. Using the offspring seal will bring them to about the same level as all your units and promote them, which is very good. But anyway, back to Forest. You'll want to go with a magical or a mixed mother, depending on what you want to do. And of course, all of this depends on how your Leo will turn out. If he ends up with a good strength stat, you might want to go with Butler for Forest. And also using shurikens and daggers is pretty good for any class, considering they can debuff And if you're using the rewards, you can get like Kaze's Needle, which is basically a rally speed. So you might want more units using shurikens. Or you might want a strategist, which is a very good unit. Very good class for Elise, too. Then Ignatus is Benny's son. He's a knight. And basically, the overall best mother for him would be Effie. But you might want to put her elsewhere. In general, you just want a physical mother for him. And when I say physical, magical, or mixed, it really just depends on their offensive stats. Like, for example, Siegbert, if you give him a mother that has a high magic stat, it's going to go to waste. Because his strength stat is just going to end up better anyway, and he'll use mostly physical weapons. A forest can be mixed, so it could go either way. Ignatus, of course, you want to stay physical. And Valoria is the only unit that I've picked out a specific mother for. I have not personally S-ranked Keaton with Camilla, but multiple sources say that breeding those two will create a Valoria that is an absolute monster, and I have to believe them. So Camilla is objectively the best mother for Valoria, according to basically everyone else. And if you're going for optimal children, then she's the best mother. But if you aren't going to use the children, you don't care, then I guess it doesn't really matter. None of this matters. Percy is going to be best physical as a Wyvern Lord, and of course you already have Camilla as a Malignite. So, having a second one doesn't really help, even if you're going to use them both. And he won't have a good magic stat. He will not have a good magic stat. Both him and his father don't have magic stats, period. So giving him a magical mother would just be a waste when that mother could go to Ophelia or Dewir or Forrest, someone that can make use of her. So again, generally a physical mother. Again, Effie is a really good mother for him because she has a very good defense stat and strength, which are very good for wyverns. Onto Ophelia. She's best with a magical mother like Nyx or Elise. Probably best to go with Sorcerer, because if you do pick a magical mother, she won't have a good strength stat. So just don't make her a Dark Knight. That's all there is. Soleil is best as a physical unit. Again, not much to say. Whether it's Hero or Bow Knight is up to you. It's personal preference. Nina would be best mixed, because no matter what she goes into, she will use bows. And if she goes Adventurer, she can use healing staves, so you might want to get a mother with a decent magic stat like Felicia. And, of course, Niles will have a good magic stat if you're using him. Of course, giving her a Shining Bow would be very good. Kana male and female, it really depends on your avatar's stats, what you want to do. Basically just go with the general pattern here. Like if you want your Kana to become a magic unit, then get a magic parent for them. So on and so forth. Now Shigure is another unique child. And the reason that I have him listed for a physically bulky father is Azora has no bulk at all. Her HP and defense are terrible, and Pegasus Knights are already frail enough. So you'll want to give him a physically bulky father, such as Arthur, or maybe Benny. Maybe the Avatar even, but I personally wouldn't do that. Then we have Dewir. Basically same thing for Forrest, could go either way. And it doesn't really matter, because he can become a butler or a strategist. Generally, Jacob will have a workable strength stat, so you might want to go with a mixed setup and turn him into a butler, because my Daiwer, if I turned him into a strategist, would have like 19 strength just going to waste. So you want to plan accordingly based on their stats. Sophie, just like Siegbert, physical. Midori, you'll want to... It really depends on how you want to play the game with her. She can become a merchant or mechanist. So either way you go, you'll want a physical mom. But that's the end of this guide. Let me know what you thought about it, and thanks for the support on my other guide, the forging guide. And I'll try to get other guides out soon. Thanks for watching.